Honestly, there are some things that some of these white folks will say, and you ask yourself the questions like, where are these thoughts coming from? How did they get into this conclusion of saying whatsoever they have the audacity to say? Now, let's be sincere. As a black person and a white person, please, who commits more of the crime? Who commits more of the pupil? Who commits more of the issue that is keeping a lot of us backward even up till date? But some of these white people have the audacity, the effrontery, the temerity to say this, and I want you guys to watch. Anyways, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in at this episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And with that being said, let's dive right into this video. I'll be back with commentaries.
Do you really hate me? Or you just don't like me because you think I don't like you?
We're taught to fear you. At least for me, growing up in the South, I received messages from a million different sources that people like you are a threat to people like me. At this point in my life, I understand that strong black men like you are a threat to white supremacy, not white people. And yet, that emotional, social, mental conditioning that I received as a child, those fears still live in my body, and that's not an easy thing to say in a public forum. To hang out in primarily black spaces like I do and have the black friends that I do, I have to overcome deep-seated fears. And a lot of people are failing to choose to do that work. I truly believe that underneath the facade of hate that white supremacists put out are deep-seated fears. And if we can see it through that lens, maybe we can dismantle it more effectively. That's my hope.
I was raised to be equal to anyone. Listening to you, you are so prejudiced. I just can't believe it. I am shocked. You're scaring me.
I think we hear violence.
I'm so scared to go around the world next year because I was never a prejudiced person until I'm listening to you. It's really scary hearing what you're saying. I'm very scared.
White people fearing, you know, what will the black folks do and stuff. We should be running down the street screaming, ramping, and raving, because when you look at the statistics, who is the one dying? From the policemen, from the KKK, from the skinheads.
The young lady said she's afraid of violence. And isn't it sad that we who have been the victims of so much violence, now whites fear violence from us? We do not have a history of killing white people. White people have a history of killing us. See? And what you fear, may I say this, sir? What you fear, and it's a deep guilt thing, that white folks suffer. You are afraid that if we ever come to power, we will do to you and your fathers what you and your people have done to us. And I think you are judging us by the state of your own mind, and that is not necessarily the mind of black people.
So stitch this and tell me something that white people aren't ready to hear.
We white women have an inferiority complex. The Negro women have a sort of reputation for being so beautiful. We're a little jealous of them.
I guess you just envy us colored people.
That black women were there to support me and to advise me, but not to rise above or become better than me. And that's why when this black teacher was way better and more talented than me, I felt some kind of way about it. Now, I'd imagine lots and lots more white women have also internalized the same idea, and that's why they feel okay stealing black women's content and not giving them any credit, because the black women are just there to advise them anyway. But most black women are natural leaders.
We're jealous. I think we're jealous because we would love to be that, I think, and we don't know how to break out of the indoctrination that we have been suppressed by our entire life.
So do you know why it's called white trauma? Because we're white people? Like, black trauma is the trauma of the black people? Not exactly. It's called white trauma as a shortened version of the term white on white trauma. Like white on white crime? Kinda. Except this specifically refers to the generational trauma left by white supremacy on other white people. How would white people have trauma from something they did? Good question. For labeling and discussion purposes, we're going to label these the pure whites and these the spicy whites. And this is who belonged where. That's like half of white people. Weren't we always white? Oh, beloved, a lot of today's white people were not considered white until like the 60s or 70s. Over on Facebook, I've met a lot of people who remember when they weren't considered white. Wow. I mean, that is interesting, but how does that lead to generational trauma? Well, in combination with my last two videos, if you haven't seen those, go watch them. The pure whites had a Supreme Court supported hierarchy on whiteness. That exclusion forced spicy whites at the time to get in line with whiteness, or the much worse latter at the time, be considered ethnic and other. But like you said in your last few videos, a lot of them did still do stuff wrong, like participating in racism and segregation. 100% true. And yet another complexity is making the spicy whites feel like they signed up for it. Pure whites baited newcomers to the new world, isolated them from their ancestry, and triggered a survival mode need for community. And the only community for the whites was racist. Damn, all that and we still don't have a sense of community. Bingo. The difference is black people can identify how the community was affected by the generational traumas that were put onto us. But what about you? How many of you feel abandoned for not truly belonging to anything? Why are the sewer slide and crime rates so high for white Americans? Why do so many white Americans fall into cults? I've never even thought about it. I just thought it was because there were so many of us. So just to recap white trauma, these guys, white people, committed a bunch of racial atrocities, created an exclusivity on whiteness, figured out they'd have more numbers by being less exclusive, but maintained whiteness with racism. With being less exclusive on who was considered white, they blurred the lines on who was responsible for what atrocities. Whoa. So that means white people created white guilt. Boom.
This is a really good question. That entire thing and a lot of the racism that you see in white people is because of the way we are raised. We are raised in this enclosed white space that is just filled with privilege that we don't even realize we have. And we are conditioned to believe that black men are dangerous. For generations, you're a little girl and your grandmother and your mother and your aunt, everybody around you has that belief because they've been told. It's just, that's what it is. It's something that white supremacy set up. In my opinion, that's how they sustain themselves, is with all these lies that cover everything, including the whole thing of, you see something happening to a black man with police on TV. The narrative is, well, he must have done something. Because, our men don't experience police confrontations that aren't deserved. Actually, we deserve more than we actually get. So when white supremacy tells us that black men are dangerous and we see them having all these problems with the police, we just think, well, they must have done something. And the fact that it's happening all the time, that confirms the bias. The bias that black people get their own selves in trouble. Because they lie, cheat, and steal. They're dangerous. It's horrible. And what is worse, and I talk about this all the time, but the worst part of it is that they keep us separate from the black community. They used to do it with Jim Crow. After that, they started using redlining and a bunch of other stuff. They keep us separate so that we don't see the truth. We don't find out the truth, because if we were developing relationships, close relationships with black people, we would find out for our own damn selves that they're just lying. And I ask every white person to question everything that you believe right now about black people. If you'll question it, you will find out the truth. Real talk here.
This is why I say the white extremists and the black extremists are one and the same. You guys argue, neither one of you are different. Sorry. You're just genuinely not. When it comes to not taking accountability, when black people talk about the crime, they talk about slavery. Now, this is one I've never heard before. white people commit the most crime against white people because they're scared of black people. That's what you're saying. If you don't defend yourself. So with the political unalivings, with the school unalivings, with the mass unalivings, when it's white on white mostly, white people aren't going out and doing stuff against black people like that. So what do you mean they have to defend themselves against black people? What are you talking about? Most crime is intraracial and it's proximity based. It's the people you're around. If you're white, you likely live around white people. So what the fuck are you talking about?
White supremacy is by nature contradicting. For instance, white supremacists will tell you that they don't see color, that you shouldn't judge someone by the color of their skin. But then they'll tell you that black people are the most violent people in the country. It'll tell you that systemic racism does not exist until it can tell you that it's actually the Democrats or the liberals that make racist laws, only acknowledging it if they can blame it on someone else. It'll tell you that communism and socialism is bad. But if you worship God and you die, when you get to heaven, He'll provide everything for you without you having to work for it anymore. Stitcher Duet, a contradiction of white supremacy.
Those people that go as far as to give you that look, they are genuinely pissed the fuck off that you have the audacity to breathe the very same air as them. By their terms, they firmly believe that you should be put on a boat and shipped back to Africa. The term is used often by people that would give you that look. Also, I would like to clarify here that when I use the term back to Africa, I firmly understand that that is an incredibly insulting term. That is not my words. Those are far right white men.
White supremacy and racism rely on black sympathy. Think about it, they brutalize us, criminalize us, talk down on us. And then the second that something happens to them, we are expected to be the bigger person, to have compassion, to forgive, to pray, right? But tell me where in the fuck that same sympathy is when a black man is unalive and then called a thug and in the media talked about his past transgressions in an effort to dehumanize him or her. When we protest, they call us violent. When we grieving, they tell us to get the fuck over it. But let one of their champions, quote unquote, fall. Somehow, we're the heartless ones because we're not crying and grieving with them. That's not empathy. That's manipulation. And that is how white supremacy survives. By demanding our humanity while denying theirs to us. So no, we do not owe sympathy or empathy to anybody whose platform was completely based on the oppression of us. Black compassion should not be the fuel that keeps white supremacy alive. And we need to stop expecting black pain to come with black sympathy.
What exactly did black people ever do? Like, I'm genuinely asking, what did we ever do to deserve anti-blackness in every single community?
I've been trying to tell y'all this for a while now, and I hope somebody actually takes heed this time. Contrary to historical belief, what they're teaching now in our schools, we are royalty. We come from a divine heritage that's not taught today in our schools. When it comes to Black history, the most they tell us is about slavery and civil activists, and it usually just stops there. No one ever usually talks about when Black people used to rule. This book is now unavailable on Amazon, but it used to go for $2,000. Why would a book be that expensive? It's because books like this contain our history. What happened to our forefathers, our foremothers, us being whitewashed during the Renaissance. See, before the Renaissance, there's a period in time called the Dark Ages where colored people used to rule. This book just really shows how much of our history was whitewashed. This is when white Jesus came into play, white biblical figures. But they upped the price because they know one thing about Black people. A lot of us don't read. They know we'll pay $2,000 for a Birkin, for a new fit, but not for a book. And
Deuteronomy 28, it talks about God's chosen people going into slavery because of their disobedience to his commandments. And when you actually read the curses that these people are sentenced to throughout all their generations, it lines up with our people today. One thing about them, they know history. That's why they were so adamant on us never learning how to read or write or be educated, because they know once that we woke up and we understood this knowledge, oh, it's over for them. They hate us because they ain't us. Like, it's literally that simple. It's deeper than the color of your skin. Our lineage stems from royalty.
So this is probably going to be very controversial. I feel more safe in a space shared with black men than I feel very unsafe in a space shared by white men. Now, before y'all get your panties in a wad and get all pissed off about this, when I am surrounded by a bunch of white men, I'm constantly looking around. I have no fear in a room full of black men. The reason why: when I go to the movies, I don't worry that a black man's gonna up the movie theater. When I go to my church, I don't worry that a black man's gonna the church. When I go to the mall, I don't worry that a black man's gonna the mall. When I go to my children's school, I don't worry that a black man's gonna the school. Black men will target one or two or three individuals. White men will go schools, movie theaters, churches, your grocery store. So before you say that you're worried about being surrounded by black men, you better think about that.
European Americans like to be in black spaces for two reasons. One, I actually learned from a European American myself. Shout out to Mike. One, we have never really assimilated to white America. We have always pushed away from white America. We have been comfortable in our skin amongst our people, doing our own thing. And that has always bothered them because they have always had a God complex. We are the superior race. So why don't these black people want to be more like us? If there wasn't such an issue with civil rights and equality, most black people would not conversate with European Americans. We are hostages in our own country. European American culture has always been miserable. This is why even though they can be at the top of the food chain, they are still miserable. And this is why they admire our culture so much and imitate everything that we do, even though we're somehow 15% of the population. European Americans also enjoy black spaces because they never have to conform to blackness. They don't have to prove how black they are and what black things they like to do. They can simply be themselves and we will accept them as they are. That doesn't happen the opposite way around. Number two, European Americans don't even feel comfortable in their own spaces amongst European Americans because they see the same behavior. Untrustworthy, very undermining, very sneaky, very backstabbing. And this is what I learned from somebody I know. He said, I don't even trust them myself, and I'm a white man. That had me cock my head like, oof, well, at least I'm not crazy.
Anyways, thank you so much for watching all of that clip, and I hope you guys enjoyed all of that video. Because honestly, the idea of white people saying they're scared of black people, I don't know where that illustration is coming from. Maybe some of them has literally been lied to. Why am I saying maybe? They have literally been lied to. And you know where this thing is starting from? It's starting from their childhood, right? It's starting from the people that actually raised them up. If not, why would someone say, oh, I am scared of even having black friends. I'm scared of even finding myself where black people are, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And if you went further, you see a lot of them expressing their thoughts, why they can never be in black spaces or why they are scared of being in black spaces. And one of their reasons why they are always saying is because black people are prejudiced. So, but in real sense, let's be honest, who commits more of the crime? Who commits more of every single thing that has literally been happening? Who have been lying to us and even up to date that kept us where we are? Let's be sincere. Because if there is anybody that will be talking about them being scared of white spaces, they don't even want to go to white spaces, it should be we blacks. You don't go to stores and see people profiling you as a white person. You don't walk on streets and see people stopping you to ask you questions like, do you belong here? You don't go to different places and then something irritably happens to you. But we've seen white folks pew-pewed, people that look like me, and even people that look like them. We've seen it. We've seen a lot of our people being HANG on the 3, turned upside down. We've seen a lot of atrocities. We've gone through slavery. In fact, black people have gone through a lot of things that they deserve to say, I don't want to see white people to that level. But you don't see black people saying that. You don't see black people emphasizing on that, because we believe that we are overcomers. We believe that once something happens, we can easily move on to the next phase of our life. And that is why black excellence keeps speaking loud and loud and loud and loud and loud. So I don't know where that idea is coming from. The idea of black people, we are scared of, especially the first clip I rolled out. And that is why whenever I looked at them, I just know that their upbringing has literally done a lot of things to them as white folks. Their upbringing has literally condemned a lot of things to them. Because it's either they have been taught this or they have been taught that at the same time. Even with everything that black people have gone through, you will hardly see a black person saying that. Because why? Growing up as a black person, you have been taught to love, have been taught to appreciate. You've been taught a lot of things that will really glorify the name of the Lord. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section. Credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in this episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And yes, guys, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Black people are scared. White people are scared of black people. Ah.